After you become a little more comfortable with the short court tennis, I suggest you move to 3/4, not yet to the baseline, because that way the progression will be gradual and you can judge the ball flight easier. And when you increase the distance, you will need to hit the ball a little harder, and for that you need to turn more. Now most of that will happen naturally, so you just turn more. What's important to know is that don't just think about your arm back. In both cases, whether that's a two-handed backhand or a one-handed, just think about turning your body or rotating and playing. So it looks something like this. And again, keep in mind that you need to play the ball somewhere. It's not about technique, it's about playing the ball somewhere. So your target should be around the service line on the other side. And if you can just see where the ball lands and try to correct, your preparation or your turn will happen naturally. Maybe just one more tip is that for a beginning it's easier to prepare in a linear way. That means you're waiting for the ball in a horizontal, or racket is horizontal, both two-handed or one-handed. But then later when you want to accelerate more, it's better to start with the racket head up. Well, then you can accelerate to the ball. And also when you learn topspin. So start like this. But you can start experimenting even now, see if you can find the timing for the ball. And see how that feels with the racket head up, or maybe just the linear way. After you've played for a while on the 3/4 distance, it's a good idea to go back to the baseline. And there again, we want to have a target. So I put a bunch of cones there and I'm trying to hit them. And when I hit the ball, I see now it's too long, so I will try to adjust a little bit. Now I see it's a little too much to the left. And 10 points. Okay, but that's the basic idea. And also important is to play upwards, so not too close to the net, but above the net. Some people like the idea of a rainbow or an arc, so above the net, and try and hit the target. See where every ball goes, and try and find that target. That way you will be learning technique automatically. A coach can give you a tip or two, but most of the time, just look for the target. Hi and welcome to the serve lesson for tennis beginners. The serve is the most complex tennis stroke, and that's why it takes a little longer to master. There are two approaches that you can take, the short-term and the long-term approach. The short-term approach means that you'll be able to serve very quickly, but you will not develop a technique that will allow you to serve more advanced serves. And the long-term approach means that it might take you a little longer to serve consistently, but you will have a good foundation for more advanced serves. That means more accurate, faster serves, and serves with different rotations. So let's see how these serves look like and what's the difference between them. If you choose a short-term approach, then your goal is to serve as soon as possible and get the ball in the service box with some results. So if you choose this approach, then your serve might look something like this. But with this technique you're very limited and you cannot develop an advanced serve. For that you need a different approach, and after a while your serve might look something like this. And this serve is of course much more effective. This is a more long-term approach, and this serve lesson will show you the correct progression to develop a serve like that. One of the most important things to know about the serve is that the serve is actually a throwing motion. So when you're serving with the racket, you're actually throwing the racket at the ball, except you're not letting go. And this exercise that I'm going to show you teaches you how to do that in a very natural way. It also teaches you how to coordinate both arms and how to develop a good rhythm for the serve. And it goes like this. So as you can see, I toss the ball with my left hand, and then I throw the ball with my right hand. So one more time. And a good way to develop timing and the rhythm of the serve is to throw the second ball when the first ball reaches the top. There's one more exercise I suggest you do before you even hit the first ball. And this exercise teaches you a basic serve motion in a very relaxed way. And it also builds a foundation for more advanced serves. And it goes like this. You hold the racket with the continental grip, and then just move the racket in a continuous motion on the right side of your body. And what's important here is that the racket moves all the time with the edge. So you're going with the edge forward, you're going with the edge backward, and also here in the backswing. So first start slowly and see if you can control the racket so that it moves in a correct way, and then try to develop a more fluid motion. I suggest that you start learning the serve from the service line first, so playing mini tennis. That's because if you start on the baseline, that might encourage you to hit the ball hard, and you will not develop a fluid and soft motion. And I also suggest that you start on the left side of the court and serving to the right side. That's because we will first learn to hit the ball with a slice, and it's much easier to direct the ball in that way than in this way. There are three main things that separate an advanced serve from the beginner's serve, or what I call the short-term approach serve, which looks like this. And these three things are the grip and the sideways position and trying to hit the ball with a slight slice. And they are all related, so we cannot separate them in different steps. So you have to do them all at once. So what you need to do is to position yourself more sideways to the court, or imagine that your left hip is pointed on the other side. Hold the racket with the continental grip, and then try to brush the ball when you're hitting the ball. So the racket is actually moving across the court, and you're trying to brush the ball on the back side. So what you do, you start in this position with the racket here. So not touching your back, but in a relaxed way like this. And then move the racket across the ball and brush the ball and see if you can hit that service box. And after a while, when you hit a few serves, you will get a good feel where you need to serve, and just see where the ball goes and try to adjust. So again, the three main steps are: position yourself sideways, hold the racket with the continental grip, and try to brush the ball. And you start from here. The next thing you can add to your serve is the follow-through. And there are three main components of the follow-through. The first one is the pronation. Pronation is called this internal rotation of this part of the arm. But a simple trick and a simple way to learn this is to imagine that you have a wristwatch on your right hand. And as soon as you brush the ball, you turn your hand and you look at the watch. So something like this. You brush the ball and then turn your arm and see if you could look at the watch. And a second important thing about the follow-through is that you don't want to go down with your elbow first and then the racket follows, but the racket goes down first and then the arm follows. Now this usually happens naturally if you do the pronation correctly. And the third thing is that after you hit the ball, you just let go and your arm actually pulls and turns your body towards the court. So when you finish the serve, you're actually facing towards the court. So if you put everything together, it looks like this.